Hi everyone, welcome to Prakriti Vichar Literature Festival 2023, organized by Frontiers Media, and this year's theme is Taking Humanity Forward. So today we all are present here to celebrate the love for literature and discuss the pivotal subject matters which are prevailing in our society and establish engaging conversation with the authors and with the audience. So, moving ahead, we have a very lovely guest with us today. First is Amitabh Satyam. Welcome, sir. And last but not the least, Sangeeta Goswami. Welcome, ma'am. And we are immensely glad to have both of you on board today for the PVLF 2023. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much for inviting us. It's an honor for us to be here on your platform.
Thank
I
Thank
look
you so
forward
much.
to constructive conversation on this topic.
you. So today's session theme is children and wellness. And under this session theme, we have topic relevance of indigenous games. So Amitabh Satyam and Sangeeta Goswami have written a book, The Games India Plays, Indian Sports Simplified. So today we'll be talking about their book and the discussion revolving around this topic, relevance of indigenous games. So first,
Right.
I will start with the introduction. First, we have Amitabh Satyam. Amitabh Satyam is a sports enthusiast who represented his college in gymnastics and athletics. He grew up playing Indian games in his village and brings this experience to this book. The Games India Plays Indian Sports Simplified, which he has just written this year. He's a graduate of IIT Kanpur. He has held leadership role at SAP, SAP, IBM, Siemens, and Reliance Infocom. And second, on the panel we have Ms. Sangeeta Goswami. She's the founder of Sri Life Global Foundation and is a researcher of cognitive behavior, currently practicing counseling psychology. She taught sports in school in addition to mathematics. She's a coordinator at experimental methodology schools promoting integral education. So thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you.
It
So
is.
first, your book, The Games India Plays, Indian Sports Simplified. So what was the idea behind penning down this book, which acquaints readers with games that originated in India? So I would like to start with Sangeeta ma'am.
Yeah, if you say over the past few generations, the childhood has trapped in indoors. They spend around 30 hours indoors having screen time or playing digital games. So this effort is to bringing back them outdoors and have all the benefits to be in nature, to be with friends, to be with group activity. We are facing this epidemic of inactivity. They are becoming so inactive, trapped in their rooms and having this screen time maybe. And after this pandemic, they are learning, studying also with the screen. Okay, so they have very less time. WHO report says only less than half hour they can go outdoor and play with their peers or friends. So this is the effort to bring them out of their houses and play in groups. So we have selected team games in this book. Okay, so
Yeah, moving ahead, Satyam sir, would you like to add with along with the Sangeeta ma'am just said shared with
Of
us?
course, the
Yeah.
inspiration for the book came from Sangeeta, and then we are both connected with the sports, and then we also believe that in see, we all grew up playing these games, the ones that I mentioned here. And the last 20 years, I have seen a significant decline in Indian games, for that matter, Indian anything. But Indian games in particular, even in the villages, people are talking about cricket. So what we see today is only British games played in our country, so be it cricket or hockey or football, badminton, tennis, squash. Um, Basketball, volleyball, they're all British games brought to us by the British. These are European games. And all the Indian games that we naturally played that have disappeared. So there are two reasons. One is that, like Sangeeta said, the kids are not going out of the house anymore. And secondly, the Indian games were designed to be played without any expensive equipment or any expensive, like a court or a field. We could play kabaddi or kho or 15 other games that we have described in our book just about anywhere. So because of disappearance of our Indian games, our kids are not playing at all, because you cannot have cricket fields and basketball courts everywhere. and therefore everybody is just staying in, playing video games or watching TV or doing other things, not going out and playing games. So this was the primary motivation, that we decided to put together a book as opposed to just telling about it to the world. That let's put together a book that gives a specific direction to people who can play. So this is not a philosophy book. This is the game designed. This is the book designed for the players, so they can just pick up the book and then start playing. We picked these 15 games, as Sangeeta said, or outdoor games. You're on mute.
Thank you. So you mentioned that there are 15 games that you mentioned in the book. So I would like to know what kind of games that you have included in this book, and how did you come across these games?
You want to go ahead, Sangeeta, first?
Yeah.
Yeah. Most of the game in the book are based on three criterias. We had a lot of discussion because in India there are so many outdoor games, and indoor you exclude indoor even if there are hundreds of games which can be played in groups. So we have to select how many games we should include and what kind of games we would not take it as of now. So there are three criteria we have gone through and follow that. That is, all games should be a group game and involve all the players at all the time. Like if the game is continuing for half an hour, all the players should be active at every moment. This is the first criteria. So lot of interaction, lot of running, rushing, chasing, full of activity these games are. And second is no that expensive facilities should be there, like cricket ground or tennis court or 10,000 rupees का वो cricket kit लाना, वो सब हमने यहाँ ऐसे game है जो simple, आप by natural resources you can make equipments and start playing on the spot. Pick up a stick and you start playing gilli danda, pick up few stones and you stake it and play P2, like that. So basically this doesn't involve any expensive equipment, right? And third is, they are not individual skill based game, they all are interdependent game. uh, uh, like Vishamrit is the game where you can revive your teammate when they get out of the team. So they are so interdependent, involvement, team coordination, team dynamics, all the life lessons are involved in those games. So we have picked 15 such games from the list of 90 games we have filtered out.
It was very difficult for you to filter all the
Yeah,
games and
yeah, it was. Sometimes I have very hot arguments and discussion why to take this game, and we have customized some rules also which cannot be feasible at this time. We have discarded some of the tougher, like you have to play with closed eyes and you have to go to some river, and that kind of infrastructure we cannot have in urban places. So we have to discard some of rules also. So this is whole process and research and banding things, and this is whole lot of fun with Amitabh sir. Yeah.
so because choosing such games and penning down this book, it must be a very amazing experience for both of you. So I would
Yeah,
like
for
to
sure.
know from us, Amitabh. So how was the experience, working together, and how did each other's professional and educational backgrounds play a significant role in finishing this book? So,
Well,
Amitabh.
let me take that. So this has been just so amazing because we never had a fight based on ego. We only had disagreements or agreements based on the topic itself, which is the perfect partnership. Though, so Sangeeta, of course, brought lots of passion, motivation, and lots of hard work into this. And we together had, several discussions about how to move forward. So I think we complemented the skills. That is one of the things. And or we certainly we divided our work so that she does 90% of something and she has an oversight on what I'm doing 10%, and same thing with vice versa. So that way I think this is an excellent model for partnership where we have divided the work, divided the responsibility, and at the same time, the partner has an oversight and has a veto right. So that way it worked very well. Our backgrounds are very different, and I have played those games, and actually only some of them. Actually, there are hundreds of them. She had put together a list of more than 100 games, and from there we decided to reduce a few. And interestingly, in July, Amit Shah ji announced that the Indian games will be played in all the schools in India. And with that, we were asked the same day. We have just come into the hotel after the meeting with Amit Shah, and then there was a big event. And the moment we entered the hotel at around 8:30, we got a phone call saying that we need the list of 100 games. And so while we published 15 and we have mentioned 15, so we had 30 with us. But to give 100 games, it took us only half an hour to compile because Sangeeta had all of them in her computer. So we were able to give them a 100 list of 100 games, of which only 75 will be used. But the thing is that based on our book and based on our efforts that we put together, we are actually able to see the light of the day, because we actually envisioned that the entire country playing Indian games. It is not just about physical activity or the children getting engaged with each other and developing leadership skills and physical, but it is also about reviving our own culture. When the foreign games come in, I keep joking with Sangeeta that, the moment you start playing cricket and the moment you become good, one of the first things they do is learn English, because it's an English game and you have to give an interview. And Kapil Dev was not good at English, went through a tremendous, not humiliation for sure because he was winning, but certainly he didn't feel comfortable engaging with the media, because the media was always, because it's a British game, everybody speaks English, you have to speak English. Similarly, almost every sport, even any look at any tennis player, they're all English speaking kind. So we have internalized these games into our Indian in the structure of living, but these are still foreign games. And India, we have 100% of our investment going to these British games, whereas Indian games get no investment, and we don't even need much. Like if you go to a sports facility, we just need a small area, that too when others are not playing, to play kabaddi or kho or Vish Amrit or several other games that you have mentioned. So our positioning is that, despite being so fun, because 5,000, 10,000 years of this game have been existed, they must have existed because they are fun, right? Nobody was forcing anybody to play. These people have been playing for fun, and these games, if we revive, then we are able to bring back the sports culture into our country, and everyone will be fit and happy, as opposed to now and simply watching it on television.
Thank you so much. So, Sangeeta ma'am, what's your take on this? How did you guys, meet and plan this book, and how was your experience?
Oh, this is very interesting story. When first I see Amitabh sir's post and on LinkedIn, Twitter, and Facebook, and on, I knew that he has some passion about Indian things, Indian heritage, and all. And once I saw that was where he is playing with golf sticks. So I said, you always talk of Indianness, Indian things, and then you play golf. How do you feel? Don't you feel like reviving our old game habits? Maybe it is a form of golf only. So he said, yes, this is a sports culture due to this British Western sports. So then at the spot we have decided to come up with some idea to spread this idea to the mass. But the book is came in role later. But we were planning to how to reach the schools, basically the schools and the authorities in education ministry. And fortunately we have got through that point. So we are from, as he said, we are from very different field, and business wise or lifestyle wise also. I played all the Indian games here in Gujarat, and he played all the Western games maybe in US or in his Bangalore area. So we are a best combination to conclude. which game inculcate what, which game gives you morals, which game gives you, physical exercise, exertion. So this is the best combination I felt. And this I am very thankful to Bloomsbury. They have taken up very quickly this idea, and they push us to finish this drafting and all. So this is a very interesting journey. Yeah.
Hey, you forgot to mention this. So I do play Western games now, but my
Yeah.
background, I grew up playing Indian games at home in my village in Bihar. So
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
not
For
like
sure.
he was playing Indian games. Even I grew up playing Indian games. So we have both played Indian games, but living in the cities, it's very hard to just play those games. I mean, it's hard to even discuss those games.
Right.
And I had a book reading in my society of about 400 residents, and they were so excited conceptually, and then said, "Let's go do it." And then we haven't done it yet. So
Yeah.
it's mindset change that will happen slowly.
Yeah.
And these days, access to open spaces, natural environment, and regular basis, you use that open spaces and nature environment is determined by how efficient, how your parents are earning, how able you are to pay those coaching fees and those, pay for this infrastructure. So why should a small kid should be pressurized not to play because their parents do not earn much to pay those fees, right? Playing time and childhood is, like equal for every child. They shouldn't feel that my parents are not earning much and I cannot go to this coaching of cricket. They charge like 10,000 per month and only 3 days for 1 hour. Think now how many children in India can afford this kind
Right.
of facilities. So the idea is to play where you are living in smaller areas, like 50 feet you can play, and without any infrastructure you can play, any equipment you can play, and everyone feel equal, sharing their problems, their issues. They go in groups. I have seen and talked to many children. They are standing aside, and if I ask why are you not playing, they simply say I have not this cricket kit. I don't have gloves. I don't have this pads. So this is very pathetic situation for a kid to just look at them and keep waiting, when they call me. And they don't allow them. Literally, they don't allow them because he has not trained to play cricket,
Right.
right?
So you just mentioned that due to the lack of funding, that it hugely impacted children not to
Yeah, yes, yes,
play.
yes.
So my next question, addressing the same issues that you have shared with us, that due to the lack of resources, the majority of students are unable to pursue careers in sports. What can the government and educational institutions do to assist these students realize their dream, or making them true or pursue dreams further? So I would like to start with Amitabh sir, then move ahead with Sangeeta ma'am.
Yeah, I was gonna start first myself anyway.
Mm,
No, this whole thing about being making money from sports, obviously with the private sector coming in with this IPLs and equivalents like in the US, it's a very US oriented model where sports people get paid, and like in NBA and many others, the National Basketball Association, and similar they have for football and others, NFL. So these guys get bought, just like IPL. This has been happening, and IPL is a similar derived model from America. So and therefore the sports people actually earn. People, sports people are not designed to earn, because earning has to do with something that you give back, for which you get paid, right? So when we do a job, we do something, and then for that we get paid. In sports, we never had that. But when sports became entertainment, then you became an entertainer. So therefore, if your sports has become entertainment, then you would get paid, because your playing would actually be making revenue to the sponsors. So therefore, for to consider a career in sports, it is normally, unless you can get into a sport that is so-called entertaining, then only there would be funding, there will be money, and then therefore you have a career in it. Like cricket has become, and kabaddi has become, badminton has become, a Sangeeta. There are 15, there are total 15 such uh, what is it called, associations who
yeah.
have come up to promote these games. So badminton guys also make probably less money than the cricket. Cricket guys might make like 20 crores. Badminton guys make like 3 lakhs, the top guys. and kabaddi guys also make slightly more or less depending on. So similarly, so but then how many people can make money through this? In cricket, you can have maybe 100 people. Every sport, you cannot do more than 30, 40, 100 people, right? Because you have to reach that level. Only then you can become playing competitive, and only then you can become entertaining enough for people to pay or watch you on the screen. So cricket, the sports as a career, I think we have to break that concept that you are making sports into a career. Unless you become so good, you are in the top 100. Till then, I think you should do it for fun, for entertainment, for your individual growth, for your health, for fun. I mean, we don't know how to have fun. I remember my childhood with no electricity. I have had 10 times more fun than my children do, or any children do today, despite everything on. That's because we have tuned to think that somebody has to deliver entertainment to us, and that's primarily because. And actually, Sangeeta tells all the time that kids just wouldn't come home. Even today, the kids are out and about. We don't know where they are. They're playing with their kids. They are their friends, and it's late at night, and the parents are worried, and the kids are playing sports wherever, because the games were so much fun. They wanted to be with each other. Today, everyone is loner because they're sitting at home playing video games or just watching TV, or don't want, or basically they have earphones. As opposed to earlier, when people are playing, it's not to do with technology. It is not at all that, oh, blame the technology, which we normally do, just because their alternative is not available. So if you're having fun, are you thinking of checking your WhatsApp message? No, we are just playing, having fun. So kids used to do that. So the idea is not just about career, and therefore we have to invest, and the government has to play. The government must intervene primarily because the sports today have become synonymous with British, and we have to bring back our Indian. So we have to completely officially declare that these are British games, not Indian games. These are Indian games, and the Indian games have to be promoted all across. And we are actually working with the ministry also to do so. And hopefully, talking to you will help more people get involved in this whole activity to see that kids have to play games not to make a career, but just to be good.
I absolutely agree with you. So moving ahead, Sangeeta ma'am, what's your take on this?
Yes, this is the commercialization of games shouldn't be there. I am very against, because this instill the aggressive competitiveness and the stress for children. Already they have tuitions, classroom, instructed coaching, and this and that. And if we do this in playtime also, instructed learning with stricter coaches within the definite boundaries, then they have nothing else to do. They just follow the instruction and be stressful all the time, anxious, how to gain higher score, how to gain higher marks, how to gain success, and
Jyotsna, you can hear me?
this is not the time for them till they to age of 16 years. After that, they can decide. After 16 years, they can choose their career and go beyond, this playtime and get into some coaching. But till 6 to 16 years, they have more passion to explore things around them, to imagine things, to input their creative thinking into process. So we have to have them opportunity to explore surroundings, to explore nature, to be in open grounds where the soil is not flat. They fill this area with some mud, some stone, and they create a fine ground. So this is the time when they need to explore. So our Indian games, indigenous game, have all these opportunities to explore, to use natural resources, play in higher regions, play in rivers, play with trees. And when they go out, even you see 10 feet of green grassland, you go out and sit there, you will find many insects, birds around, animals around. I know a very popular belief that a cat when she has their young ones, she moves to 7 places while they are growing up. Now how do I know this? because I have played in grounds, I have seen animals, birds around me. I have so much more knowledge than these days kids, because they won't go outside, they won't see any, they won't observe anything. So this is the best time to have them the opportunity outdoors, right? And it is not like that Western sports and this modern, so-called modern games are, more strategy or more techniques. No, our games are also, I would say, even more interesting and more strategyful. Have you seen any game this time where one player is runner and nine of other team members chasing him? He has to face nine chasers. So this is the the strategy of our games. He then also can win the game even after chasing the nine players. We have the games where this is the my puzzle for your viewers, that which is this game. They must think about that. These games relate to Abhimanyu in Chakravyuh, where all the family members have left the war field and he was left alone to face all the enemy group. And Abhimanyu was alone. And how have he would faced all the enemies? So child is thinking about our history. He relates to this war techniques also, the tradition, the culture, the lifestyle of our Indian ancient wisdom is there. So if you think about, in I have researched for 2 3 years, all the corona time I have 3 years with me. So a small example I would like to give. The very basic game, snakes and ladders, you must be knowing. Snakes and ladders, 100 boxes are there, 100 numbers. They play with that marker, and they say if snakes, on the snakes, your marker is there, you have to come down. And if the ladder is there, you have to go up. But this is not totally incorrect theme. This is not the theme ever. Mox Pattam is the original game, originated from India, and it has 100 qualities, characteristic of a human being, virtues and vices like anger, greed, dishonesty, disobedient, and then virtues, how to be polite, this, that, you know, loving, caring, being obedient. This all characteristics are mentioned in one board. Now you think 100 types of qualities where you can learn in one board game. This is the beauty of our Indian games. Now I will say, to mention 5 qualities of a human being. How many children can list 5 of them? No one. Become snakes and ladders. So I want to tell this our games are taken, copied, and trivializing the whole theme, and we bring them back as a Western sport and play with so much fun. This is not our Indianness. This is Indian wisdom in all the games I can list. Life lessons, morals, ancient wisdom we can inculcate from them.
This is the first time that I heard that you shared that how the human values are connected with this game, the snakes and ladders, which I didn't
Absolutely.
know earlier, and I used to play. Like whatever I've learned from people, I just play, and this is something very different. And I feel like that the way you portray the games like this, and the same you have also written in your book. So I'm hoping that this book will surely inculcate the knowledge of actual indigenous game, Indian games within children, and to promote more among them. So yeah, thank you so much, Sangeeta ma'am. So my next question, that you guys have mentioned the physical activities and the digital technologies that make the people more lethargic and they don't go for the physical activity, right? So my next question is that today's generation of children prefers playing games on their phones rather than games that involve physical activity. Okay. So can your book interest kids glued to a screen in playing indigenous games? So what exactly that your book has that they can, surely, influence them or persuade them that the indigenous games are very important to play right now. Yeah. So whoever wants to start first can.
Sangeeta's topic, so I guess let her.
Yeah. So this idea is whole about, as I mentioned earlier also, this idea is to play in groups. Nowadays, after I am a counselor psychologist, so I have come through many cases where not only child, even adults are feeling alone while this corona time they have to stay inside and don't have the exposure to socialization. Same way the child also feel alone while playing this video games. They if they lose some stages, he will feel irritated, anxious, and all the time that passion for winning is there. No, I don't see any fun at all. They don't enjoy it. They just chase the stages, have to complete in this time, have to complete in 1 hour or like that. And ऊपर से उनको पेरेंट्स का प्रेशर होता है, जल्दी खत्म करो, वीडियो फोन रख दो. वी डोंट हैव एनीथिंग टू एडवाइस देम. जस्ट हम उनको बोलते रहते हैं कि तुम फोन क्यों नहीं रखते. वो फोन तब रखेगा व्हेन यू गिव समथिंग बेटर टू देम. उनको उनको बाहर जाने का चांस दो, उनको गेम सिखाओ, है ना. मुझे एक इंसिडेंस याद है. व्हेन आई वाज लाइक 9-10 years old, I was playing this pittu. 10 7 stone we have to arrange and break them with a stone, break them with a ball. So I was losing that time. I was losing all the time, and I after the evening I told my father that in pittu I always lose the game, and my team is always losing. So my father thought for a while and told me that you try to break only 1 or 2 stones on the upper side, and you will get to finish to rearrange quickly. And this struck me so finely that another day I went to go and I went to play, and I followed the same advice, and our team has won. So my father has become a hero for me. How much he knew about the strategy and technique of the game Pittu, because he had played in that time. So nowadays we are losing the relevance with our kids. Teacher, parents, family members, they have nothing to share. They have nothing to advise or suggest. If we implement this kind of indigenous games to our schools or neighborhood, at least parent have to say or suggest something to you play like this, you don't play like this, and the interaction will strengthen the bond with parents. Nuclear family has many problems for a child. I know how they feel while being alone, and they shut them up, while playing this PUBG and this what they call Pokemon and all. What will they say? You don't understand, you sit aside, let me finish my stage. Now what they will do, they feel like that children don't obey them. No, they will obey, but they have to have something interesting and exciting. No, so this is, I see, as a family bonding idea also.
So this of the 15 that we have highlighted in the book and given full detail on, 10 can be played without any age restrictions, and we have
Yeah.
described specifically the gender. There is no restriction anyway, so we don't mention it. It's for everybody. But age-wise, also very many games can be played without, like you can play with your grandfathers and all. Kabaddi probably not, but many others you can. So like she was saying about family bonding and such. See, these games, most of our games, some of them are, although we have picked only the outside games or outdoor games, not all of them are physically vigorous. Lots of them have lots of strategic. Every game is actually strategic. You cannot just randomly do it. It's not about just throwing a ball far away or just hitting a bat. It requires some skills, but it's just farther it goes, the more points you get. It is about strategy of everybody coming together. The moment you involve other in your strategy and your behavior becomes dependent on somebody else's, and like you are observing one guy running this way, somebody else is over there, somebody, and then you decide what to do. That becomes, you become very dynamically and instantaneously you are making a decision, and at that moment you are the leader because you have the ball in your hand or you have the decision making in your hand. You become the leader. The moment it goes to somebody else, that person becomes a leader. So the games that we have here are ideal for this such engagement with other kids. It is not unique skill, like Sangeeta mentioned already. These are not just skills, but you are engaging with other kids. And the moment you engage with other kids, It becomes fun. Then, hey, you did this, you did that, you shouldn't have done it. And there's so many different things that come into picture. Some of them become leaders, some of them do well, and then, but then the leadership also changes. And then at the end, when they come home, they're like happy. They're happy because their stuff happened in their lives. As opposed to, I know at least, and I know Sangeeta if there's a data on it, but there are 10 to 15% children, and that number is increasing, have behavioral issues, have psychological issues because they are, I know specifically of two of my friends' children, they have gone completely out. They know they don't go to school anymore because they just do nothing. They're just completely out. They cannot fit into this world because some social media thing happened to them. So the point is that we just have to kind of take a back seat. We don't have to deprive anybody of anything, but you provide the option of something more fun and interesting, and then which is intellectually stimulating, physically stimulating, and then you already have a huge attraction towards this. The main mindset we have to fight is that Indian games must be accepted as proper games. The mindset is, oh, these are very informal games because they're not in Olympics. Olympics is not why kids have to play downstairs. This entire country doesn't report to the Olympics committee, right? 140 crore people. We have to have our own things too. We cannot simply do every physical activity just so that we can play something. Olympic is not, it's like an insignificant thing, We are so much bigger than Europe where they do Olympics. So I think we have to detach our mindset, the governments, and even in general, the public themselves have to detach from this mindset that these British games and the Olympic games are the games, the rest of them are not. That's basically how we have to fight back.
And I must say the entire idea of this book is quite commendable. So moving ahead, my next question to both of you. Children nowadays are more influenced by the sports culture of Western countries, like you guys mentioned, the Western sports. So how can your book play a part in igniting a love for the indigenous games among these children? So also discuss the Western games and how people think the Western games are better than Indian games, but the you have mentioned wholly different thing in your book.
So I was just actually sadly I didn't realize there was a question coming. I mentioned part, I covered part of it a little earlier, but the significant difference between Indian games and Western games is that Indian games, despite being physically active, it is still a mind game. We are constantly applying our mind, whereas the Western games are skill-based games. Like when you're hitting a tennis, I know you have to think about where the other player is, but 90% of the effort and the result that you get is based on your skill level, and these are individual skill levels. So same thing with badminton and squash, and most games are very individual skill based. And even if you're playing, other than football and few other games, cricket is also very individual games. Other than football, there is almost very few games or probably no games which are a group game, inherently a group game. Cricket is played by a large number of people, but it's not a group game. So half the people are sitting there watching, right? There's a one batsman and there's another batsman. Two of them are playing on the field, and remaining 10, 12 people are sitting there and watching. So that's all, right? And then the people who are actually playing on the field, one is bowling and the rest are still standing. Rest are standing, the fielders. They're standing because, and then for 3 to 4 seconds, the bowler will throw the ball, the ball would be hit, which is also only 30% of the time only. And if the ball goes somewhere, one or two of the fielders will run, the remaining will still almost always watch. So if you look at the number of activities of the 30 people who are involved in the game, at any given point of time, there's 0, 0, 0, 0, 0 activity, and then boom, there's the ball is bowled, and then there is some activity, and then it's gone again. So think about it, like 120 instances of throwing the ball, and that is all the whole game is all about. And the time people are standing. So coming down to our point, this is why, and that it takes a huge amount of cricket field also to play cricket. So just to reduce this whole example down to the reality. So these Western games are influencing us primarily because the Western games were associated with the British, and we looked up to them. So we speak their language, we live their lifestyle, we like to eat their kind of food. And so it is more of a cultural domination by the British to our minds, that, the British things are good. So India has become good at cricket, but then look at how many people actually play cricket. Everybody I know in my neighborhood of 400 people, only 10 people have played. And nobody plays anymore. How do you even play cricket in Bangalore, where there is a place? But then everybody is watching and they're investing, and cricket has become the world's largest. The IPL has become the world's largest sports company. So the point is that it is the mindset that we have created through English medium schools and English education and the British influence on our lifestyle that tells us that the games, you are a sportsman when you're carrying your tennis racket, but you are not a sports person when you just have played kabaddi. We have to redefine what sports is, and then we have to detach the definition of sports from West to make it any physical activity that is fulfilling. And that redefinition will make sure that we are still engaging with the physical activity, intellectual activity, and detaching from the colonized mindset. So colonization is why people still want to play the British games, and indigenous games are being dismissed, even in the villages. Villages also, people know, oh, we are inferior because we don't know how to play cricket. We don't even have a tennis court. They don't even know about squash, for example. I mean, badminton is some of them. Uh, so 90% or 90, I have estimated 98% of people have never played any of the Western games or ever seen some. Most of them have not even seen. No one would have seen a tennis racket or a badminton or squash racket. Nobody. How can we be a state of 10 crore people be considered inferior at sport just because we have not even seen it? So if we have not seen a Tesla car and we say that we are poor in driving. So how can we even compete? So therefore we have to create what we are good at and then play those games. So indigenous games, we have to detach this cultural domination, and then say that we are freeing from the mindset of the colonizers, and we are claiming our own identity and will play our own games, which they after that they will discover that these games are so much more fun that they will regret not having played in all their lives.
And I feel like that this problem is prevailing because of our mindset towards it. So I'm hoping that one day we can change this mindset up. Am I audible?
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, mindset, change the mindset, and yeah, promote the indigenous game. So, but my last question to both of you, the you have mentioned 15 games, right? So are there any games in your book that schools can incorporate into their sports?
I think she's talking about how we can incorporate these Indian games
Incorporate,
into
yeah, the
our
games that you
schools,
mentioned in your book.
in schools, right?
Right, right.
Oh yes, absolutely. I mean, this is an excellent point. If you like, once again, this that only the top schools in the country, and even in Bangalore, maybe only 50 schools in Bangalore, and similarly add all the schools in the country, maybe 1,000 schools in the country. Out of 15 lakhs, only 1,000 would have access to actual sports. Some of them have a tiny, generic area for play where they play tennis also, basketball also, and whatever else they want to play. Remaining 15 lakh minus 1,000 schools don't have access to any facilities.
Hmm.
So, but everybody still has a physical education teacher, a physical education class. Now, why don't we just, instead of saying that, oh, we don't even have a tennis court, our school doesn't even provide anything, and the school cannot provide because the fees will go up, and the fees nobody else wants to pay. So this whole economics of Western sports it's very expensive. It's very expensive to play Western sports. So if we start playing these games, one example is we went to a top school in the Mothers International in Delhi,
Hmm.
and these games were played by the kids. We had Sangeeta made them play with the help of the teachers there. And when the kids were playing, and then after that we moved away, and then we were having tea, and the kids we told the kids to go back to what they were doing. They continued playing. They
Hmm.
continued playing the same games, obviously meaning that the top school with dozens of acres in the center of Delhi, such a considered the best school in the Delhi or one of the best in the country. The kids can play Indian games with enthusiasm, whereas the entire focus on every school is to create a tennis court and a badminton class. And so they converted PT teach PT class into very robotic training of these unique skills, as opposed to actually you go ahead and play games. So this one, several experiments. Sangeeta has obviously gone to many schools, and the kids have played, and she has even recorded them. And look at the excitement of the people who are playing those games. They're actually extremely happy. Everyone is jumping with joy, and they're playing the games. And then at the end of the day, the energy level is very high. Not true for tennis, not true for badminton, not true for any of those, because those are skill-based games. After you come back, there's no thrill beyond a point. But as a group game, you discover that lots of thrill. So 1 whole hour of physical education class every school has, and instead of complaining about not having sports facilities in 15 lakh minus 1,000 schools, we should actually play these games which need no facility. You just go ahead and play wherever, allow kids to play, just tell them how to play. Use, this is what we have done in the book, is that, very simple steps, simplified everything. Just play using the guidance there, and that's it. Once you start playing, you can go back like we did in Mothers International, and the kids will continue playing. Their next day they would be looking forward to the physical education class, so they can go back and play those games, as opposed to being imposed, like some of these games are imposed, like you have to go practice and play this. Allow this. So allow the students and the teachers and the principals to change their mindset, that said they would not insist on Western games. They would allow and encourage Indian games. And once that happens, automatically our country will become much healthier, and our minds will become much freer and more creative.
Thank you so much, Amitabh sir. So, Sangeeta ma'am, anything else you would like?
Yeah. So the idea of copying Western things and Western culture, Western game has been, out of the outdated now. So now India will be the leader and the Western people would copy us. Even they have copied many our games and they have patented on English names. Like I have a list where the original or the game is originated in India and they have copied by other name and they are selling is a modern game and giving us back with expensive, charges. So if you have I can you list n number of this. Chess is our Chaucer. The rugby game with they play oval shape board is our UB Lakpi. This hopscotch is our Nondi. This Mokshpattam, they have called them this snakes and ladders. Many games they have copied from us. Then why should we follow them to play this only one game cricket going gaga behind it? So they are copying us. So now we have to understand the wisdom, our ancient wisdom, and follow it back and revive those culture, the tradition, the lifestyle that is in our DNA. We are used to them. If you tell some children to play gilli danda, they will be ready in a jiffy. They don't have to think it kaise khele. They just pick up the stick and strike the small gilli. So this is in our genes. So that is easier to adapt to have skills for those games. So I really hope this all games go to the every school in India and children will be fun loving and enjoy those moments of their childhood. And they remember. I only remember things from my childhood that I played in those playground with my friends. I still remember those times, my childhood times. So I wish, yeah, that is the book.
Oh, sorry, I was talking.
Yeah.
Jyotsna, have you seen the book?
Yes, I can. Yeah.
Okay, so you can see some pictures here. Just on the front page, we have given six, and inside we have drawn these pictures about how the players have to play. So it's like pictorially describing how it has to be played. And what we have seen is that it takes about 5 to 10 minutes for anybody to just have a quick look, and it's all clear. And the steps are so simplified. We have taken away all the complexity, so that our idea is not to be great ourselves in researching. Our idea is to allow people to get in. We are just letting people in with the simplest possible steps. And once they are in, they want to do more. And then there are complex rules that we can create and stuff. So idea is that, since it is declining, we want to just bring people in and expose them to fun. And once they have been exposed to fun, they'll automatically pick up. That's why we made the book very simple.
Right. Thank you so much, Amitabh, Satyam sir, and Sangeeta ma'am. And I'm hoping that because of your book, that people will get to know more about the Indian games and will surely play them. And thank you so much for joining us today
Yeah.
for this beautiful session. I had just a delightful conversation with you, and hoping that we hopefully that convey the message to the audience through this conversation. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Josna, so much. It's been such an 1 hour has been so exciting talking to you. Thank you very much for the opportunity.